Hi, I'm Namita. I'm a cake artist from Bangalore and I've been participating in cake competitions for a really long time now. So I thought I'll just make a video talking about all the different aspects and everything that goes into participating into a cake competition. We'll talk about the categories that are available to us, how to choose a category, how to plan your piece, how to carry it to the venue, what to do once you're at the venue, some little pointers you can keep in mind to maybe score a few extra points. Basically, I'll be giving you my best advice on how to prepare for a cake competition and hopefully win it. This is going to be quite a long video, so grab a drink or a snack and let's get into it. First, let's talk about the formats that are available to us. We have two formats available to us. One is the live format. This is typically a group or a team event where you are given some instructions in advance. You can do a little bit of your prep in advance, but majority of the work is done on the spot at the venue with cameras and a timer and a host and a live audience in front of you. It's very much like a sports arena. So if you enjoy that adrenaline rush, you will really enjoy this environment. The other category that we have is a display competition where you're given everything that you need, the category, the rules, the theme, everything is given to you in advance and you prep your piece at home and you just set it up at the venue. In this format, the judges see the pieces first and evaluate it, and once the judging is complete, the competition area is opened up for anybody else in the audience who wants to see the pieces. I have more experience participating in display competitions, so everything that I share with you today will be everything that I have learned from participating in those. Let's talk about the categories that are available. If it's an international competition, whether that's online or in person, there are way too many categories to choose from. It can be quite confusing. In India, we typically have 4 to 6 categories depending on the organizer. Typically, there will be a single tier cake, a wedding cake category, a cupcake category, a sculpted cake or a decorative showpiece category, sugar flowers, and healthy bakes. Healthy bakes is the only tasting or flavor based category. All the other categories focus more on artistry and decoration. The cupcake category does have a tasting element in some of the shows. You choose a category that you like, you pay the entry fee and you enroll. Typically the entry fees range from about 1,000 to 2,000 rupees. You can participate once in each category, but if you want to do multiple categories at a time, you can also do that. If you do enter more than one category, I think you're a superhero. I prefer just entering one category because competition pieces take way more effort than working for a client. So being able to split your focus among 2 pieces is quite a challenge. So I prefer to just do one category at a time. Over the years, except for healthy bakes and sugar flowers, I've done pretty much all the other categories. I try to do a different category each time just to challenge myself. You can choose which category you want to enter based on your strengths, based on what you enjoy doing. Personally, I don't like to do that. I like to first plan my piece, decide on the theme, decide on what I want to do, and then I pick the category that helps me tell that story the best. It's a little bit roundabout and I'll explain more later in the video. Let's talk about choosing a theme. There are some competitions like the India Bake Show who provide you a theme in advance. I believe that this year's theme is Indian festivals, which is so exciting. And then there are other shows like Cakeology where it's an open theme. So you can choose the theme that you want and design your piece around that. Both ways have their own advantages. Sometimes when you're feeling stuck and you can't think of any ideas, it's nice to have a theme given to you, which kind of sparks some ideas for you. Sometimes it's also nice to have the freedom to pick your own theme. My best advice would be not to wait for a competition to come up with ideas. Just keep thinking of ideas all the time. So I have a page on my notes app which I call my idea bank, and every time I get an idea, I just keep making note of it. These are things that I can use for clients, for competitions, for videos like this. So anytime I get an idea, I just keep making note of it. So whenever I have to create something, I have a bank of ideas already, and there's no pressure to come up with something creative when you're busy or when you're not feeling very creative. Whether you've been given a theme or whether you choose one yourself, what's important is to tell a story that makes sense to you. I know it's very tempting to just recreate something that we've already saved from Pinterest or Instagram, but a competition is your time to be original and to show the world what you are. Don't reuse other people's ideas. Just come up with something that makes you happy and something that's relevant to you. And no, you don't need a great imagination to come up with these concepts. You just need to rely on things that you like and things that you've experienced. For example, this year's India Bake Show theme is Indian festivals. So if I made a piece on Raksha Bandhan, it wouldn't be authentic to me because I don't have any brothers. I can imagine what it would be like, but it's not going to have rich detail as something that I have experienced would. So choose a story that you want to tell and design your piece from there. So how do you choose a category? Let me take the example of this cupcake set that I made for a competition. It was inspired by an Indian market. So amongst the 5 decorating categories, that is cupcakes, single tier cakes, sculpted cakes, wedding cakes and sugar flowers. Wedding cakes and sugar flowers were out of question. I could do a sculpted cake of maybe a lady carrying a basket of veggies. That would still convey the same theme, but I had a lot of time restrictions on this one, so I didn't want to do something very big, which left me with 2 options, either a single tier cake or a set of cupcakes. When I was thinking about a single tier cake, I felt like I couldn't do anything interesting in terms of composition and scale. I felt like it would be fairly limited in that size. Whereas with cupcakes, I felt like I could use each cupcake as a cane basket and fill it up with little miniature fruits and vegetables and flowers. Plus, having the figurine stand directly on the board versus being poked into a dummy or a cake would add a layer of difficulty to my project, and this would get me a few extra points as well. Talking about scoring points, let's talk about all the rules that are involved. It's very important to read the rules so that your piece doesn't get disqualified. Sometimes the judges are extremely strict, so even if your piece is half an inch more than the dimensions, your piece is disqualified immediately. Even if you don't cover your board with ribbon, your piece gets disqualified. You don't want to see yourself getting disqualified for something that you could have read in the first place or you could have prepared for in the first place. And this is not just about disqualification, right? When you participate in a competition, you want to make sure that you can win as many points as possible. So reading the rules allows you to do that. The first thing that you need to look at is the dimensions that your category allows. Each category will have rules about the height, the width, how much space is allotted to you. Make sure that your piece is a little bit smaller than that. What I like to do is to keep my piece a little smaller than that. So if I'm allotted a 20-inch area, I'll make sure that my piece fits into an 18-inch space. The next rule that's typically there is that all decorations need to be edible. You cannot use acrylic toppers, artificial flowers, fresh flowers, toys, paper toppers, or even edible prints. This is all about showing your skill as an artist, so you can't use any ready-made decorations. Everything you put on the cake needs to be handmade. The next rule that you need to look at is if it needs to be edible or if you can use a dummy. If it has to be edible, does it need to be entirely cake, or can you use Rice Krispie treats or other edible elements that are not cake? How much of an internal structure are you allowed to use? So if you're doing a gravity-defying cake or a topsy-turvy cake, you typically have rods and wires and boards inside. Most competitions will give you a percentage of how much of your entire creation needs to be edible and how much of it can be inedible internal structure. Next thing to keep in mind is if you need to provide process pictures. Some categories will ask you to click pictures along the way so that while you display your piece, you will also have to display the photographs of how you made it. This is not for all categories, but some categories do have it. Do check that rule and keep clicking pictures along the way. Please be mindful that it's an anonymous judging, so make sure that you don't have your logos anywhere, or you're not working under a signage or something like that. Just make sure that you respect the rules of the competition and keep it anonymous. Most competitions also don't allow you to use any lights or rotating machines or things like that, but if you do, if your category allows it, check if you have access to a plug point. Usually you don't have one, but just check. The last thing to check is if your category is only a display category or if it also has a tasting element involved. If there is a tasting element, how do they expect you to present your piece? If it's a cupcake category, you need to provide 6 additional cupcakes for the judges to taste. This is without any decoration, so you keep the same flavor, the same filling, the same icing. It just does not need to have any decoration. You keep that box of 6 cupcakes along with the 6 cupcakes that you decorated. It can just be kept beside your piece. Usually they also ask you to provide the recipes for everything that you used. An added tip is to use flavors that further enhance the storytelling of the design. So for the market cupcakes, I had made carrot cupcakes with an orange filling. Let's delve a little deeper into the judging criteria. The first one is interpretation of theme. So interpretation of theme is just about how detailed your understanding is of that particular theme. So for example, if you pick Harry Potter as your theme, are you just going to do a snitch, a broom and a scarf, or are you going to create an entire Quidditch field? How closely and how well do you know this theme? This becomes very easy to do when you pick a theme that you really like, which is why I kept telling you to draw from experience, because you already know it very well. All these details are already ingrained in you and it doesn't feel like you're putting any effort. The next criteria is originality and creativity. Again, like I said earlier, it's your time to do something original. Avoid copying designs that already exist. even if it's a popular theme. So sticking with Harry Potter, how many Harry Potter cakes have you seen with the sorting hats and the wands and the snitches? And how many cakes have you seen that are an entire Quidditch field? It's the same theme and it's a popular theme, but you can still do something original and creative instead of doing something that's popular and overdone. The next criteria is the number of techniques used. This is all about understanding how good or how developed your skill is. So how many different techniques can you use in one piece? Instead of using a mold, can you pipe something with royal icing? Instead of using a stencil, can you paint something? Or if you are using a stencil, instead of using just one color, can you block off parts of the stencil and do multiple colors and layers of stenciling? This would be the best time to experiment with technique, because you don't get to do this for client cakes, right? When we're working for clients, we want tried and tested methods. We don't want to do anything new that can surprise us on the day. We want things that work. But when we're doing competition pieces, it's a wonderful opportunity to try new things. I'll just show you some of the things that I've done with my pieces in the past. So for this wedding cake that I made, I used a technique that polymer clay artists use. So they make a cane and they cut slices out of it. So that's what I used for the tiling on the floor. For this Cinderella based piece, I made the moon with wafer paper. So I made a paper mache with wafer paper, and I used a balloon as a mold, and I molded it on top of the balloon, and then I burst the balloon inside. So that's how I made the moon for this one. The market piece was the first time I was experimenting with edible fabric. Use this as an opportunity to play with all your tools and materials and just come up with new things. It's a lot of fun. The next criteria is covering, modeling and flower making skills. This is about your finishing. When you cover a cake with fondant or icing, have you left any tool marks on it, nail marks on it? If you've dusted a piece with gold, has the dust fallen everywhere, or is it just on the piece that you intended it to be? Have you taped your wires? It's these tiny details. So it's nice to spend that extra time on making sure that you have a really clean finish. The next criteria is proportion, balance and use of color. Restrict yourself to 4 or 5 colors. The more colors you add, the more difficult it becomes to balance everything. It can be done, of course it can be done, but it's easier if you have a smaller color palette. Think about the composition, think about how you can make it more interesting for the viewer to see. Again, I'll show you another piece that I made. This was a cookie piece inspired by an Arangetram. Usually the musicians are off to one side and they're in a straight line. But I wanted the composition to be a little bit more interesting, so I made the steps curved and I had them sitting behind the dancer because I wanted the focus to be on the dancer. I didn't want it to be split amongst the musicians and the dancer. So the musicians are at the back and in a curved arrangement so that visually it's more appealing to look at than something straight. Make your piece interesting to look at from multiple different angles. If it's an online competition, you can't really do that, but when it's an in-person event, it's always nice to be able to walk around the piece and have a look at it from multiple angles and be able to see different things. I see that a lot of the pieces are the same from the front and the back, or there's nothing interesting happening at the back. Why not? Just another little detail, I've kept the colors in the front of the arrangement a little bit brighter than the ones that are in the background because she's in the spotlight and the flowers in front are more visible. This is just that extra level of detailing that you can add. The next criteria is the number of mediums used. Generally in cake design we say less is more, but in this category more is more. If you can use as many mediums as you can to make your piece. If there are two things that need to be transparent, use gelatin for one, use isomalt for the other. Make some of the decor with fondant, make some of the decor with chocolate. So you already add extra mediums, showing that you're proficient in using all of these mediums. In my opinion, these are easy points that you can win. This was something that I did with my wedding cake piece as well. So if you look at the fountains, there are two mediums here. So the falling water is done with rice paper and the pools of water down are done with gelatin. Just one thing, if you are using gelatin, the longer it stays out, it starts shrinking. So you'll end up with some weird gaps. I had a small gap issue when I made these pools of water. And even on my cupcake piece, the glasses that I made were gelatin. And the day I made them, they were bigger, and the next day they became a little bit smaller because gelatin shrinks. So keep that in mind. The next thing is degree of difficulty. Remember I said earlier that having a figurine standing directly on the board added a layer of difficulty, because designing that structure is more difficult than just poking the figurine into a cake downwards or sideways. So having it stand independently on the board is a complicated structure compared to just poking it into a cake or a dummy. So I believe that that would have got me some points for difficulty, and it's also something that I try to do with all my pieces, where I add at least one element that I find challenging to do It gives me an opportunity to grow as an artist and explore new techniques. It increases my confidence as an artist in what I can do, and it also gets me some points for doing something difficult. So it's a win-win. Now let's talk about designing your piece. When it comes to this topic, less is more. Don't overload your piece with elements just to fill up the space that you have. There should be a reason behind every element being on your piece. Even though you want to include more techniques and more mediums, make it meaningful. While designing, I usually start with a mood board. This just helps me identify all the different elements that I can add. It also inspires the color palette that I want to use. There may be some tiny little details that I might pick up just from the mood board itself. Once you design your piece, remember that less is more. So look at your piece and think about what you can remove from this, and the concept still stands. Keep removing elements until you hit a point where you can't remove anything anymore. That's when you achieve the simplicity that's needed without compromising on the concept. Again, I'll take you through my cupcake piece. In my initial sketches, I had included a backdrop. I had included a pedestal for the jalebi wala to sit on. I had included an umbrella over the lady who's sitting with the baskets, and in iterations of the design, all of these elements were removed. Although it would show hand painting as a skill, and I do consider that to be one of my strengths, I removed it because having a painted backdrop would make the piece look good only if I viewed it from the front. So if I saw the piece from the top or the side, the perspective of the backdrop and the perspective of the characters wouldn't match. The scale of the characters and the perspective of the backdrop wouldn't match. Pedestal was not required for two reasons. One, having him standing would add that degree of difficulty that I wanted, and the pedestal would just look bulky. It was like a big rectangular piece, which character wise it was not adding anything to the story, so it was not required. The umbrella would have been a beautiful piece to add, both from a structural perspective and from a craft perspective, but again it would look good only if I saw the piece at eye level. If I had to see it from the top, it would hide the lady. So I took the decision to remove that umbrella. Coming to the execution of the piece, and having made several pieces last minute, I can tell you that the pieces that I have liked the most and the ones that have made me more happy and won me the most points and appreciation are the pieces that I've made with sufficient time. Give yourself a lot of time and be realistic about how much you can achieve in that time. How much time you need to give yourself depends on the scale of your piece and how much time you can dedicate to it on a daily basis. I participate in competitions alongside working on my orders, so I can't give more than 2 hours in a day. Even this cupcake piece, I would give myself 2 weeks to do it. Decide on a time frame, add 25-30% buffer. Especially when you're trying new techniques, things might go wrong, it might not work out in the first go, you may have to redo things, so give yourself sufficient time. Competition cakes require extreme precision, and precision work is slow. Don't rush it. Some pointers that I can share with you: if there are elements that are very delicate, make a few extra of those. Fountains that I showed you, I had made a few extra of the falling water because I knew they would break, and I did break a few of them, so it helped that I had a few as backup. If there are elements that are repeated in your design, just make sure to use a template so that the size and shape is consistent. Document your journey. Make a note of what techniques you used. Make a note of any new recipes that you tried. It's always nice to refer to it later. You may even use it for client work. Another thing that you need to do is to provide a write-up alongside your piece explaining what your theme is and what techniques you use, what mediums you used, and all of that. Please take the time to do this well, because I've done pieces where I did a very Indian concept and ended up having 2 international judges judging the piece who didn't understand all the little nuances of the piece because my write-up didn't explain it well. Write it well so that even if someone doesn't have any knowledge about your theme, they'll still be able to understand your piece. Please do not use AI to write this. You have put so much effort into making your piece. Let the words be your own. AI will just come up with something generic. It will not convey what you want to say. Please write the piece yourself. Using AI to correct grammar or things like that is fine, but let the words be yours. You write the story, and don't make it extremely long. I've seen write-ups that are 2 or 3 pages long. Remember, the judges are judging multiple pieces in a day. They don't have the time to sit and read such a long write-up. Keep it to 1 or 2 paragraphs and then write all the mediums and techniques that you've used. So if they don't notice something, the fact that you've written it there in your sheet will make them go and cross-check. If there are tasting elements, you will also need to provide the recipe of all the elements that you've used. So the base cake, the filling, the icing, all the recipes would also need to go along with this write-up. Do not write your name or your business name or your Instagram handle. this is an anonymous judging. Let's respect the rules and keep it anonymous. The next thing we'll talk about is the packaging and transport of your piece. Have a sturdy box to carry the pieces. If you can dismantle things and take it separately, assemble it at the venue, that's ideal. If you can't, make sure that you're giving enough padding, so make little pillows with tissue paper and use that to fill any large gaps. You can also use polyfill. Polyfill is the filling that you use inside cushions. I don't like using that because it tends to leave fibers on the piece, so I don't do that, but it is another option. Also, make sure to leave early from home. In most competitions, you need to complete the setup by 10 a.m. So make sure that you reach by 8 or 8:30. Once you arrive at the venue, the first thing that you need to do is go and complete your registration. Show them the confirmation email and they'll give you a registration number. This would be in the form of a sticker. Take a picture of that sticker, make a note of it, because that registration number is your identity for the rest of this competition. They will go and stick this down on your place at the display table. It helps to have someone with you during this process, because while you're registering, you also need to hold on to all the pieces that you've brought with you. If possible, bring someone with you. Once you reach the venue and the registration is done, if the tables are empty, they will immediately guide you to the spot where you need to place your piece, and you go there and you can start setting up. In case there's a lot of rush, so I've experienced this only once where there was a lot of rush. In that case, I had to wait for a little while to set up my piece. So this is again why I asked you to leave early. Once you set up the piece, some organizers will allow you to leave the boxes there itself underneath the table. Some of them will ask you to take the boxes home, so do check with the venue what is allowed. Carry some supplies with you in case you need to fix anything. You never know with the driving habits of your cab driver or the state of our roads, you may end up breaking something however careful you've been. Typically what I like to carry is a little bit of fondant in every color that I've used, duplicate elements of fragile things, small filler elements like flowers or things that you can use to fill up any gaps. I like to carry piping gel in a piping bag because I find that piping gel sticks a lot faster than edible glue. Edible glue takes time to stick and dry, whereas piping gel sticks a lot faster, and having it in a piping bag means that I don't have to get my hands messy. I can just pipe a small dot of piping gel and stick anything that has broken or come loose. Usually the display area is away from the washroom, so you don't have the facility to go and wash your hands. So carry some wipes with you. Carry luster dust, Evaporex, paint brushes if I need to do any touch up, some kind of cutting tool, either a blade or a precision knife of some sort, floral tape, a few wires, some modeling tools, scissors, skewers, toothpicks. I also like these water brushes. It's nice to clean up because again you can't carry water with you, so this is a nice way to carry a little bit of water for cleanup. And then depending on the design, if there are any other things that you need to carry, keep this emergency kit with you. Set up your piece as quickly as possible and get out of there so that other people have the time to go and set up their piece. I would say stay at a comfortable distance. Don't just leave your piece and go away. Stay at a comfortable distance where you can still see the piece, because sometimes when other people are setting up, they may end up bumping into your piece, or they like, nobody intends to do this, but they're just so focused on their piece that they might not even realize that they're going into your space, or your board has turned a little bit. So these things happen, especially when someone is late and they are rushing to set up their piece. So give other people the time, but just make sure that you're around. Also, when you are the one setting up, please be mindful of other people's pieces. Don't infringe on other people's space. Everybody has put in a lot of efforts on their pieces, so respect your competitors as well. Setup time is usually a little bit chaotic. Everybody is stressed. Try and keep your cool. This event is a great time to make friends and network with people, not while they're setting up their piece, of course. I found that most bakers who participate in competitions are very open to sharing their knowledge and insights. It's really nice to talk to like-minded people afterwards. I don't know if I should say this, but let's also be good viewers when we go to see other people's pieces. I have been to competitions where day one looks amazing, but by the end of day three, all the pieces are completely destroyed. Figurines are missing, flowers have been taken off the pieces, cake stands have been stolen, cloches have been stolen. Let's not do that. Before I talk about the judging, let me talk about another very important aspect, which is budget. A lot of people don't realize how expensive it can be to participate in a cake competition. I have had friends who have spent 30,000 plus on a wedding cake entry and more than a lakh on pieces that are really big, the 4.5 feet pieces. At the end of the day, they can be just one or two winners, and they're the ones who are going to take away the cash prize. So spend an amount that you're comfortable letting go of. Also remember that for the duration of the show as well as for the days leading up to it, you might not be able to take your regular number of orders. That's an income that you will be losing out on as well. Plus you've already paid an entry fee, plus you will be paying for transportation. So just keep all of these costs in mind. As a personal rule, I plan my budget to be about 50% of the prize money. If the prize money is 5,000 rupees, I'll make sure that I don't spend anything more than 2,500. Avoid, as far as possible, avoid buying molds or stencils that are going to be used only for this project. Yes, you can reuse them later, but you may or may not get a chance to make a piece exactly like this. I don't think you'll ever get a chance to make this exact piece again. Invest wisely is all I want to say. Now let's talk about the judging. Usually the judging happens on the first day of the event and it takes the entire day. The results are out on the next morning. Depending on the show, the placing is a little bit different. Cakeology has two things that you can win. So you can have a gold, silver, bronze merit, and you can have first place and runner-up. There can be multiple people who win golds, but out of all the golds, there'll be one winner and one runner-up. There'll be multiple people who would have won silver. There will be multiple people who won bronze and so on and so forth. Whereas with the India Bake Show, there's a winner, a runner-up, and a met 3 prizes. Usually the score sheet is given within the duration of the show itself. It has the points that you won as well as some written feedback from the judges. Let's just accept that you're never going to be 100% happy with the results. You'll always feel like this piece was better or that piece was better, but this is where we need to trust the judges. We need to know that they know what they're doing. We are too close to the competition. We've worked so hard on it for so long that we're not able to be objective about it. So give it some distance, sit on it for a few hours. For the sake of your mental health, try not to compare your score sheet with anybody else. Usually the judges are around during the show, so you can go and approach them and ask them for more clarifications about the feedback they've written. Please do not demand answers from them. Remember that these are industry experts and they're the reason why we have shows like this. They're the ones who worked very hard and made it possible for us to have a platform like this to show our talent. Don't taunt them, don't pick a fight with them. Just ask them where you can do better the next time. Most of the judges are very approachable. Whatever clarifications you want from the judges, do it during the show itself. Once the show is over, don't message them on social media asking for feedback about your piece. That's not a very professional thing to do. Even if you don't win, you will learn a lot from this experience. Your work will get better. You will notice immediately that your client work is getting better. It's getting neater. You're able to work faster. You have the confidence to come up with your own techniques. You're able to look at a reference picture and understand immediately what techniques the artist has used because you have done all these things yourself. And you'll be walking away with so much inspiration from your fellow competitors. So even if you don't win, it's still worth participating in. And if you do win, great, congratulations. That means you did pull off something stellar. The prize distribution usually happens on the last day of the show. If you plan to be at the venue all day, please carry an extra outfit with you for the prize distribution. I say this from experience. During the show, you're also given hampers that are from all of the different sponsors. You may win trophies. Sometimes there's a certificate, there's a medal. Sometimes there's a medal and a certificate. Sometimes there's a trophy and a certificate. Each competition is different. If there is prize money involved, you'll get a check on the spot, or within a week or two after the competition, the organizers will get in touch with you for your payment details and the money will be transferred to you. Double check your certificate because sometimes you do end up getting the wrong certificate or your name is not spelled correctly. This has happened to me before, so just check that you've got the correct certificate with you. This is also the day that you need to take your piece back home. If you are not allowed to leave your packaging at the venue, remember to bring your packaging on this day to take your piece back. It also helps to have somebody with you who can help you with all your hampers and your prizes and your competition piece. And that's it. I think that's everything I can tell you about participating in a competition. If you have any more questions, or if you have participated in competitions and have some insights to share with all of us, please do leave them in the comment section so all of us can learn as well. Hopefully this video made competitions a little less intimidating for you and inspired you to participate in a competition. If you do so, do let me know. I will look forward to seeing your pieces. All the best. I forgot. Do like this video, share it with anybody who might find this interesting. Do subscribe to my channel for more videos, and if there's anything you'd like to see on this page, do let me know. I'm listening. Bye.